Welcome to another video of a bike tour by myself, Andre, and my beautiful wife, Gerda. In September 2023, we flew from Kelowna to Pittsburg to cycle the Great Allegheny Passage, about 300 kilometers from Pittsburg to Cumberland, as well as the CEO Canal, or Chesapeake and Ohio towpath from Cumberland to Washington, D.C. and back. A total of 1,250 kilometers and about 5,500 meters elevation gain. We flew to Pittsburg from Kelowna with our Tandem packed in 2 bike boxes, as the frame comes apart with S&S couplers. We used the same Tandem on multiple previous tours, including the Pacific Coast, Eastern Canada, Gaspé Trail, etc. And after several off-road bikepacking trips with our hardtail bikes, we were quite keen to test the Tandem for bikepacking on smoother, non-paved surfaces, especially rail trails like the Gap and C&O Canal path. We didn't find a good, safe bicycle ride from Pittsburg Airport to downtown Pittsburg, and then decided to use the Montour trail to connect to the Gap trail. The video just shows the chaos in our hotel room as I unpacked the Tandem from our bike boxes and put it together, which normally takes about 1.5 to 2 hours in total time. Luckily we don't use any oil on our chain, as the chains are all waxed, which help to keep the hotel room clean. We started day 1 from our hotel close to Pittsburg Airport, rode about 7 km to the airport, and then took a connector trail to the Montour trail, which is also a rail trail, and rode on that for about 75 kilometers to connect to the Gap trail at McKeesport. The trail is a beautiful surface, lots of free camping, and we absolutely enjoyed it. Day 2 started the morning after an eventful night with raccoons in our campsite, and with just an energy bar for breakfast we got going and stopped at a picnic table a little bit later to make some early morning coffee. We enjoyed another beautiful day and rode 104 kilometers to Confluence, where we slept in the outflow campground after we had a fantastic meal at a local restaurant. We were so impressed with the quality of the trail and the beautiful surroundings next to the trail.
Hey, good morning. Australia is beautiful. It's almost like we are riding on a tar road. And so many camp spots with beautiful little shelters and water and everything. Except last night they didn't do anything about the raccoons. Look, this is really nice. But we were one smarter than them, so I went and brought somebody else. Okay, we are on our way way to, I think it's called Oya.
Yeah.
Yeah, out.
Day 3, another beautiful day. We started probably at 7 a.m. at the Confluence campground on our way to Cumberland for the last 104 kilometers of the Gap Trail, as the C&O pathway starts from Cumberland to Washington. It was another beautiful day. We crested the highest point on the trail, so-called Eastern Divide, before we had about a 40 kilometers downhill to Cumberland, passing a small town of Frostburg on the way. We were very impressed with the quality of the Gap Trail, which was actually perfect for our Tandem with 2-inch tires, although it was quite loaded. We booked a hotel in the Ramada Hotel in downtown Cumberland for the night. Great hotel, but not very safe area to walk around. Good morning! It's about day 4. Slept in a hotel in Cumberland last night. Bit of a shady neighborhood. Wanted to go and buy a beer, but decided, no, we're not going to walk there. We had to go to the Martin's grocery store. Only a 1.5 kilometers hike or walk, but pretty shady. Today it is raining cats and dogs. It's probably been like this all the time. Started about 2.5 hours ago. Stopped in a very small town called Old School Kitchen or restaurant. Had a fantastic breakfast. Now on the way again. Hancock is about 100 km from Cumberland, and we plan to stay there tonight in a hotel to just get our very, very wet and slightly dirty bike cleaned and ready for tomorrow. Wind forecast looks okay again from tomorrow. We actually enjoyed the rain. Must be something wrong with us. And just look how beautiful it is here.
Yeah.
So this is the canal where they pull barges and boats on this path with horses. And there's a train coming right over us now.
Somewhere.
Over.
Help! Okay, I am wet and cold and I had to bike to be warm. So, out.
Exotica.
It's day 5. We slept in a hotel in Hancock last night. Super 8, big spender of course. Had a pizza, that was great. A few local beers. And had it in our room. We arrived there completely wet after 5.5 hours of riding, 103 k's. And it was absolutely raining very hard all the time. So we were cold, it's probably about 10 degrees, very wet, everything is wet, that's why we took another hotel room. Had a good night's rest, got up at 6, started around about 7.
We tried the clothes at the laundromat.
Oh yeah, dried the clothes, went to a laundromat while waiting for pizza, dried our clothes, and today is just beautiful. I'm surprised the trail has actually dried out quite a bit. There's still a few puddles, but much less than expected. This is just another area next to the Potomac River that goes all the way to Washington.
There's the river.
And this is still the towpath.
And the Potomac River that they restored the eel population. And on the board it says the eel can live 24 years. which is surprising. And this is the area. It's really beautiful. Going back that way, really spectacular. And I think in fall it would be even more spectacular with all the colors. And the sun is shining, yay! Yay! Over and out!
The C&O, or Chesapeake and Ohio towpath, was also fantastic. It's more like a double track, so the surface area is not as super smooth as the Gap Trail, but it also is very rich in history, with all the locks that they made for transporting barges and boats, which was pulled by donkeys and horses on the towpath where we were riding. The whole area is so rich in history, including history from the Civil War, and we had an absolutely magic day again on the path and camped at Chisel Brand's campground. Day 6 was a short day from Chisel Brand's campground to a hotel that we booked in Washington, D.C. for 2 nights, and we planned to have an off day just exploring Washington. We actually took a red bus to see most of the beautiful areas in Washington, stopped a few times, walked through the town, and went to both the Bible Museum and the Space Museum, both which was absolutely fascinating. We also had some good meals and really enjoyed and very impressed with Washington, D.C. Day 8, another beautiful day. We started early in the morning from our hotel in Washington. Used some of those local bike routes to get to the downtown area and mile 0 of the C&O towpath, and started our ride back towards Pittsburg on the C&O towpath to Cumberland, then the Gap Trail to McKeesport, and then back on the Montour Trail to Pittsburg Airport. We left our bike boxes at the hotel where we stayed when we flew in, and the plan was to stay there again the night before we flew back home. The forecast was for more rain starting during the night, so we stayed in another hotel in Hancock and started riding the next day, and it was raining almost the whole day again. We rode back to Cumberland and then restarted on the Gap Trail with quite a big climb towards Frostburg, where we stayed in a motel, mostly to get all our very wet stuff dry again, and had a great pizza in a local restaurant in Frostburg. Day 12 and our second last day of our trip. We rode 170 kilometers to another campground on the Montour Trail, where we slept in our tent in one of the lean-to shelters. Again, helped as it rained a little bit during the night. The next morning we had a short ride back to our hotel close to the Pittsburg Airport, where we stayed for one night and wanted to be there early so that we could pack our bike again in boxes for our flight back home the next day.